What's happening, everybody? It is Friday. It is podcast time. The weekend is here. I don't know about you guys, but my homework done, school, moving it away. I'm getting into weekend mode. And what better way to get into weekend mode than tuning into Fan Talk podcast by me, Kyle Brunchley. Thank you guys for returning and listening, and welcome. If this is your first time, Fan Talk is a podcast about me, sports fan who sits on my couch and watches sports and then comes here and talks about it. So if that's something you're into, then stick around. We'd love to have you. The podcast is out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and I also put it out on YouTube. So I appreciate it if you go watch the video, give it a like, leave a comment if you so incline. Today we're talking about some good things. Well, I like to think that every day of my life I talk about some good things. It's a lot funner to talk about good things. A lot more positive to talk about good things than it is to talk about bad things. Although it is important to talk about bad things and to see what we can learn from them. But we're going to be talking about some good things today. Some interesting things for sure. Some of these things causing controversy. But I mean, it's sports. What doesn't, right? So let's waste no more time. We're jumping right into the NBA All-Star Game. I talked about this a little bit last week. We'll be talking a little bit more about it this week as well. So the 2023 NBA All-Stars for the All-Star Game were just announced yesterday. And when I say yesterday, they were announced on Thursday, January 26th. So, I mean, this year we're doing a similar format as we did in many years past. There's going to be captains. So LeBron James is captain again for the sixth time, and then Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to be captain for the east side, LeBron for the west side. So here are the starters. I'm going to share them with you, and then I'm going to share my thoughts on what I think about the starters. So let's start in the west. And it's interesting to note that voting for this, 50% is from the fans. And so when fans go onto the app or onto NBA.com to vote, they would have to vote by position. And that's something that we'll talk about here in a minute. But they're 2 guards, 3 bigs. That's kind of the format here for the starters. So in the West, Stephen Curry, no surprises there. I mean, he's dynamic. He's a good shooter. He's led his team to many championship appearances and multiple championships. He's a really good player. This is his 9th appearance. Luka Doncic is the other guard. Luka might just be the most exciting, maybe not most exciting, but he's definitely top 5 most exciting players to watch right now. He's so good. Like he embodies what it means to carry a team. Obviously, he needs help, and that's why the Mavericks haven't, gotten to a championship, because he hasn't quite had the help he's needed. But for the regular season, he doesn't need help. So, I mean, he's doing great. Luka Doncic, 4 All-Star appearances. He's about the same age as me. So if you look at where he is and you look where I am, well, let's just not make that comparison. But very successful there. And then, of course, LeBron, his 19th All-Star appearance. For all you young listeners out there who are 18, 19, or younger, this guy's been to more All-Star games than you've been alive, which just blows my mind. LeBron might just play until he dies. I mean, no one's going to stop him, so why not? And then Nikola Jokic for his 5th appearance. I think Jokic is one of the best players in basketball, hands down, averaging a triple-double pretty much every game. And he's overlooked a lot. A lot of people don't want him to win a 3rd in a row, but I mean, the stats speak for himself. I think he's a leading favorite for 3-peating at the MVP. And then Zion Williamson, finally a healthy season for Zion. He's making his 2nd All-Star appearance. He comes in filling in that 5th spot. In the East, you got Kevin Durant, no surprise there. He's getting older, but he's still a baller. 13th appearance. You got Kyrie Irving, who definitely having a bounce-back season. He's kind of gone through some personal issues and some different things, but he's having a really good season here on the court for the Nets. He's really been helping them with Durant and Ben Simmons. The Nets are having a fantastic year. Kyrie Irving gets his 8th All-Star appearance. And then, obviously, Antetokounmpo, 7th appearance. He's a team captain. Jason Tatum, he's just like Doncic. He's another one of those players that you just love to watch. He can really do it by himself, but he needs a team around him. Got so close to winning a championship last year. I really like Jason Tatum, 4th appearance. And then Donovan Mitchell, my boy. Donovan Mitchell, former Jazz guy, now in Cleveland, having a great season there in Cleveland, helping Cleveland. I think they're currently sitting at the 5 spot in the East. His 4th playoff appearance. He is the last starter there for the East. So as you can see, I mean, a lot of good players. All 10 of these guys are clear all-stars. There's no doubt about that. But it is interesting because the way it's set up, and I'll clue you in. I've been listening to ESPN and to Colin Cowherd on Fox Sports Radio, and a lot of people are talking about how the all-star voting system might be a little skewed. Maybe not skewed is the right word, but might not be the best it can be. We say that because you have to have 2 guards and 3 forwards in the voting process. And so fans still get to vote, and fans are like the ones who should have the highest say, and they do. Without fans, there is no basketball. But some people say they should just vote for their top 5, regardless of position, especially in the All-Star game where positions don't really matter because you can have anyone out there on the court and the final score of the game's, 185 to 190, so it's like it's not as serious anymore. So why stick to this format is what people are saying. And they mostly say that because they feel like, I mean, there's so many good players and only 10 can get starting roles. And so it just makes it hard to really determine the top 10 best players. But in my opinion, I see it as, I mean, who cares what the starters are as long as you make it into the All-Star game, right? It's all about the prestige. It's all about the, for LeBron being there 19 times, being a captain. So it's about that. And so how the All-Star game will work this year, similar to in years past, but one slight change. So they'll still have a draft. The captains will draft the remaining players. But a difference, they'll do it on game day. So in the past, they've done it a couple days before. Today, they'll do it the day of the All-Star game. So we'll get teams released right before tip-off. Maybe not right before tip-off, but pretty close to tip-off. And it should be interesting. It should be really interesting. I mean, obviously, a lot of players did not make the starters list, but I still believe that we'll make the All-Star game in general. The game's in Utah, so if you're in the area, or if you're coming to town, go check it out. I won't be there in person, but it'll be fun to watch. It'll be fun to have a good time. So, yeah, check it out. NBA All-Star Game in Salt Lake City. First time since 1993. It's been 30 years since the game was there, so I've not been alive to witness an All-Star Game in Salt Lake City, but it should be fun. Should be great. Looking forward to that. Another thing I wanted to mention, a lot of the times I talk about players and I talk about the results of games. We break down games. And behind all this is the main puppet master. It's the coaches, right? And so obviously with the end of the NFL season, there's always going to be the coaches carousel is what they call it. People get fired, people get hired, people get shuffled around. It's just the way it is. And every year there's at least a couple positions that open up, a couple positions that need to be filled. So I want to talk about it a little bit and share my thoughts on what I feel. And obviously, this is very relevant to me as a Denver Broncos fan. Nathaniel Hackett gets axed, not even after one season, doesn't even get to finish the season, 4-11. Kind of a failed project there, really disappointing season. But news about him up next. Let's start, though, with the Carolina Panthers because they recently hired Frank Wright, former Colts coach, to be their head coach. And it's kind of interesting because Steve Wilkes filled in for Matt Rule. Matt Rule got fired, like 6 weeks into the season. He was on the hot seat. He was pretty much going to get canned no matter what, so he was just showing up to work knowing that his time was just about up. Steve Wilkes fills in. They go 6-6 under Steve Wilkes. Almost make the playoffs. One Tampa Bay win away, and they could have made the playoffs. And so a lot of people were thinking, they'll maybe promote him to be head coach. They'll keep him around. But I think the Carolina Panthers maybe really wanted a solid coach. They really wanted a coach who had established himself, and Frank Wright for sure has established himself. Frankly, no pun intended there, but frankly ran out of talent there in Indianapolis at quarterback. They just couldn't find a piece there, and ultimately without a quarterback, you can't win. We know that. And so Carolina, I mean, they're going to have a big decision coming up with who they're going to roll with at quarterback. Are they going to stick with Sam Darnold, or are they going to try to pursue somebody? Are they going to try to draft somebody? Who knows? But Frank Wright, very solid coach under them. They'll figure out a way to get that done. I want to talk about the Jets real quick. So the New York Jets, Nathaniel Hackett, former coach of the Denver Broncos, gets hired as their offensive coordinator. And initially I'm like, what are you doing, New York? New York, dumpster fire the last 6 weeks, total meltdown. Robert Saleh, like, great coach. I don't know what was going on, but they were having a total meltdown. And then they hire Nathaniel Hackett, who has been an offensive coordinator before with the Jaguars and with the Bills as well. And then he did that work in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. And so as I was thinking about that, I was like, oh, Aaron Rodgers. Okay. What if the Jets, making this questionable hire, Nathaniel Hackett, they bring him in because they're trying to pursue Aaron Rodgers? And, a lot of people in the sports world are rumoring that. Obviously, it would take a lot to get Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers still thinks he's the top dog. So we'll see. I think Zach Wilson's done in New York. And if they can't get Aaron Rodgers, they'll at least want to get a veteran quarterback, maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there in New York. But Nathaniel Hackett, new offensive coordinator. So you might want to consider what happened to Mike LaFleur. Well, formerly the Jets offensive coordinator, he is now on the Los Angeles Rams under Sean McVay. Hopefully with Stafford coming back, they can work some magic and get the Rams back into playoff predictions for next season, but we will see. Bill O'Brien, former offensive coordinator for Alabama, hired for the New England Patriots. Kind of interesting there. And then, obviously, we still have a bunch of spots still open. Denver Broncos still have an opening. The Arizona Cardinals still have an opening. I'm looking here at a list of people who have interviewed for these different positions. Sean Payton has interviewed for the Cardinals job. Frank Wright did before he went to Carolina. Dan Quinn did before he went back to Dallas. He is staying as the defensive coordinator of Dallas. So some notable names. Brian Flores. So, yeah, I mean, check this out. This is Fox Sports, and you just type Fox Sports Coaching Carousel, and you can break this down, and you can look at all the different things. Sean Payton, currently for the Denver Broncos. Jim Harbaugh was interviewed, announced that he's returning to Michigan. Dan Quinn, Ichiro Evero, D'Amico Ryans, Raheem Morris. So go check it out. Let me know what you think. A lot of good head coaching positions open. I think, honestly, the Denver Broncos position is a solid spot, a solid hire. People would want to go there. Houston, an opportunity to, help them rebuild. It might be a little risky. Colts, same kind of a thing, but they still have, of course, Jonathan Taylor and an elite defense. But we'll see. Arizona Cardinals could be good too. Kyler Murray, great player. So keep an eye on that, and also keep your other eye on Conference Championship Weekend. Here we go. We're gotten down to the end of the season. There's really only 2 picks that I have to make. And then in a couple weeks, there'll just be 1 pick that I have to make, and then no more picks for a while. But let's start in the NFC. 49ers visiting the Philadelphia Eagles, 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on Fox this Sunday. It should be an exciting game. The 49ers-Cowboys game, exciting. It's always exciting when the Cowboys play the 49ers. The last 2 years, both of their games have come down to the last play. Obviously, this year, the Cowboys were still 65 yards away from the end zone. So kind of wasn't as, getting you on the edge of your seat as last year when Dak ran up the field and they couldn't clock the ball in time before time ran out. But the Eagles possess and pose a new challenge to this 49er offense. This 49er offense and defense, it's a really good team. And I think we should be scared that this team is as good as it is with Brock Purdy as their quarterback. Now, Brock Purdy's been played well, but Brock Purdy is not in the same category as Patrick Mahomes, as Joe Burrow, as Justin Herbert. You can even say Lamar Jackson. He's just not. Prime Tom Brady, prime Aaron Rodgers, prime Peyton Manning. Like, he's not. He's not. Like he's a rookie quarterback, Mr. Irrelevant. He's playing well, but can you imagine if the 49ers had, someone like Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes? Man, this team, no one would beat this team. Brock Purdy, great player. He's going into Philadelphia. Philadelphia played very well. They just smacked the Giants. They said, we want to fly, Eagles fly. We want to show what we're about. This game's in Philadelphia. This one's tough. I think this one's tougher than the AFC game because this game could go either way. The Eagles have shown how good they are, but they also have shown obvious flaws. 49ers, I think their defense will be the difference. Because if Jalen Hurts can't make big plays and this Eagles team doesn't win, the 49ers are going to score points. So the Philadelphia Eagles need to score points as well. And so the 49ers defense is going to step up big. I think the Eagles get this one. I'm putting my faith in Jalen Hurts. I'm saying that he does get a bunch of big plays. He gets the Eagles past the 49ers and into the Super Bowl. That's my take. I think that's going to happen. Let's see. I could be wrong. But this will be a fun game to watch. I think everyone should watch this game. I think all four of these teams left, any of them could win the Super Bowl. And I mean that. I'm not just saying, these are four good teams. Sure, they could win the Super Bowl. Any of these four teams could legit win the Super Bowl. I could see any of these four teams beating any of the other four teams. We're just in good company. So I say Eagles at home. They punch their ticket to the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, big time performance. Brock Purdy, give him a hand. His season will end on Sunday. Bengals at Chiefs. This one's been going back and forth because Patrick Mahomes obviously hurt his ankle in that game against Jacksonville. He came back, finished the game. He said he's fine. Sometimes these athletes think they're indestructible, and Patrick Mahomes, he just wants to play. He just wants to be the best that he can be. This game's in Arrowhead. Bengals punched the Bills in the mouth. They punched him really hard. And the Bengals looked really good. Not just on offense, but on defense. And I think since Patrick Mahomes, while he is going to play super well, even with a hurt ankle, he does have a hurt ankle. I also think Joe Cool is going to beat him again. They have his number. Some people are saying, Patrick Mahomes, he's going to change that. He doesn't lose to someone 4 times in a row. That's somebody. Joe Burrow, Joe Snow, he can do it, and he will do it. Give me the Bengals to upset the Chiefs and to go to the Super Bowl back-to-back seasons to play the Eagles. Eagles-Bengals, that will be a fun Super Bowl matchup. That Chiefs-Bengals game is Sunday, 4:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Man, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think. Conference championship predictions down below. I honestly think this game could go anywhere. Either way, I think the other game in the NFC can go anyway. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend, so sit back and relax. Enjoy the cold January weather inside, watching these games. It should be fun. And then the Super Bowl, not this next Sunday, but the Sunday after, February 12th at 4:30. That game will be in Arizona. So that sounds nice right now, Arizona. Whew. Where I am, it's like 15 degrees, snowy, windy. I got to get somewhere warm. So let's go Bengals, Eagles. That's my guess. Let me know your predictions down below, and have a great weekend. Follow me on Instagram, kbrench. I'm also on Twitter. You can find this podcast on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and YouTube by searching Fan Talk by Kyle Brenchley. Have a great weekend.